they go? I don't know where they went. But it was the most amazing thing to watch, that they were light beings. And then we asked the Lord about that. And he confirmed that they were originally light beings. And during the fall, when they were separated, then they were used by magic. And it was the magic that I saw on them that made them into the shadows, to make them into dark entities. And so, for however many eons they've been used as subjects of magic and strongholds and building rituals and so forth on them. And so that was just an amazing thing to see, and to see something that I saw as evil really turned to good. It was profound. It was amazing.
So Jan's getting delivered. Of course, I'm left with several theological problems right now. I mean, folks, listen, you're listening and you're thinking the same thing I'm thinking. What? Even as Jan's describing what Jesus is doing, I'm like waiting for it. I'm like, he's going to bring a hammer and he's going to smash him. He's going to bring a chainsaw and cut him in half. Get those shadow people. A bridge? Wait, what? They're turning the light? The angels are taking them somewhere? So I'm actually not in charge right now. Jesus is doing this. Probably because he knows that I don't know his heart in the matter. I am actually on the outside of knowledge that I'm beginning to minister into. And what we're learning is that we don't know everything, right? And as Christians, we think we're so smart. We just think we're full of smarts. If it's a spirit and it's not an angel, it's a demon. I know it. And when you ask people, well, where do demons come from? I don't know. They're just bad spirits. And it's like, well, there's a lot of history that we don't know. And there are a lot of things at work that we really don't understand fully. And I'll tell you, it was a while back, I did a podcast, and Ruthie Andrews came on the show and introduced a lot of us to the idea of stoichion. And those are elements or elementals, and how, God created them, right? But does fire hurt people? Yeah, sometimes fire will burn down your house. Wind will blow your stuff over. They're not always doing nice and kind things, these elements. But God has a redemptive purpose. They can be won over. They can have evil scrolls, and those scrolls can be replaced with godly scrolls, depending on who's calling the shots in that region. So there's a lot more to understand about how the world works, how we interact with God's creation. And this turned into one of those stories where I just didn't have all the pieces. And Jen wasn't the only one getting delivered. Oil fields were getting delivered. Jen, what else is going on here?
Well, it ended up, I had a dream, so a couple months before, I was in this building and there was a table and all these men were coming in and putting money down on this table. And I knew the amount was $76,000. And I wrote the dream down, but didn't think too much about it. And then it came up in this session, and the Lord said that was the amount of money that my dad had negotiated with this Red, the guy that owned this oil field, and that was he promised to pay my dad $76,000 when his oil field paid off, which it never did. And so this was a contract that had been made for our souls, and our souls were taken basically and hitched up to these magically conformed shadow people, and the money never came through. So you did another prayer, court of heaven prayer on all of that, and cleared out all that mess. But you had asked Jesus, did these shadow people know God? And his answer was, oh yeah, they were light beings captured in magic. And I thought that kind of just summed up the whole thing right there. And you made a comment at the very end of this session about, just kind of off the cuff, I think, comment about oil prices. You might want to share that.
So, folks, let me tell you this, okay? I'm thinking, well, because I'm a scientist of the spirit. Like, I don't just buy any kind of crock that someone brings to me. Even in my own sessions, I'm like, I don't know about that. I think people think that I just believe anything because I talk about stuff that people don't know about. It's not true. I'm actually always looking for evidence, and often the evidence is the fruit of deliverance and inner healing. That'll settle the score. Holy Spirit never heals based on a lie. But here I am being smart. I'm just like, yeah. So we'll know this is real if you see the stock price of oil drop. and this is the thing, folks. I completely forgot about this session. We did this in January. So coronavirus happens, and then Putin keeps driving oil production. This causes, because no one's going anywhere, driving their cars anywhere, a flood of oil into the market, so no one knows what to do with all of their stock. No one's buying, no one's putting gas in their cars, and production is full on it. Or I think Putin was making a massive strike against the Rockefeller and Rothschild groups because, at least the Rockefellers, they sit on oil. That Illuminati group is heavily funded by oil. And so hitting the oil market is actually a strike on that whole block of the kingdom of darkness. And Putin's doing it, right, in the natural. Well, this drives, and other, factors, drive oil prices below $0 a gallon. By April, we're looking at gas, and it's like $1.50. It's still cheap. And of course, I'm looking at oil prices. I don't think about this session. And then one day, Jan sends me an email. Hey, Daniel, you remember this session we did? I was like, ah, you gotta be kidding me. What?
So I have to share, if I may, the article I found on this.
Tell me about it.
It said oil hit 0.01 cents a barrel before falling to as low as a negative $40 and eventually settling at $37.63, the lowest level recorded since the New York Mercantile Exchange began trading oil futures in 1983. And that was on April 20th of 20. So 3 months after this session, we got the confirmation.
So, folks, let me tell you something. God is doing some extraordinary things. He is able to do exceedingly abundantly above all we can ask, think, or imagine. And we are learning just how real this is. Wow. Well, Jan, thank you for this. Is there anything you'd like to share before we conclude this week's episode?
Well, thank you again, Dan. Just thanks for letting me share part of my journey. And I want to bless all the other survivors out there that are on their journeys. And just,